Hello, I'm Chuck Webb, and I decided to make this video. This is my low-tech classroom-style explanation of what's left of America and how do we make it right. There's no question, this is not the America that I was born into or grew up in, not the America of our parents or our grandparents. I hear a lot of people make comments about how come things are changing so much so fast. Well, the reason they're changing so fast is because for the first time they've got a real strong hold on our federal government, so they know they got to get as much done as quick as they can, because pretty much mainstream America is not going to stand for a whole lot of what they're trying to accomplish. But I want to explain to you why the changes seem so drastic, seem so extreme. There is a reason for it, and let me illustrate it for you. Alright. Now this is America that I grew up in. And right here, dead center, this is America. This is where you find our Constitution. This is where you find our founding principles. This is the stuff that took America from being a small colony to becoming the greatest nation in the history of, well, history. In the America I grew up in, the Republican Party was over here, and the Democratic Party was over here. Now over here, we had extremists that pretty much believed in no government. And over here, we have the other side, the other end, the extremists who believe in all government. Now by that I'm talking about the isms, socialism and communism and Marxism. Now, in this America, because of our two-party system, which is not the problem, compromise meant that the Republicans had to move this way and Democrats had to move this way. So the bottom line is simply, even whenever the two parties were split on some things, well, on most things, the compromise still brought everybody closer to America, to our Constitution and our founding principles. And this worked extremely well for about 150 years. Now let's take a look at the America of today and how it's changed and what's going on. Let me get my board back up there. Grab my little old paintbrush. Now this is the America of today. Yeah, I know I can't draw a straight line. Once again, here's America in the center. Here's our Constitution, and here's our founding principles, still dead center. They do not change. But remember the isms over here, the socialism, communism, and Marxism. They've been able to work their way into first the courts, and then from the courts into the education system, and now they pretty much control mainstream media. So they have been what they always do. You know, anybody that studies the history of socialism, which, like Lenin said, is the first step to communism, and Marxism, which leads to socialism, which leads to communism. Anytime you study this, you see the same thing. The people are controlled by propaganda. There's nothing about freedom. There certainly is no social equality, but they tell people that there is, and that's how they get their attention and then start brainwashing them into this. Because of that, the Republican Party has shifted so far to the left that it's now in center. And the Democratic Party is over here dangerously close to socialism and communism. So the end result is compromise now means that even when the Democrats compromise, they're still way far removed from our Constitution and our founding principles. And in order for the Republicans to compromise, then they have to move even further away from our Constitution and founding principles. And the end result is we now have decisions here. That explains why they seem so extreme to the majority of American people. Well, here along comes, let me find, we'll just give them pretty little. Here come the Tea Party all of a sudden, and it's set up over here, just to the right of where the Republican Party used to be. Now, as the Tea Party, and understand, I've just really grasped the concept that the Tea Party is not a political party. It is basically a grassroots of what I call fed up Americans. People that say, you know what, you guys are making a mess of everything. It's time for us to start making things right. So they set up over here. The amazing thing is because it's people, because it's us citizens, we don't have to worry about losing elections. They have to worry about it. We do not. So we stand our ground on this and this. We say, no, no, no. We're standing on the Constitution and we're not giving up our founding principles. We're not giving up our freedoms, our rights, our liberties. Now we're just starting to see, let me find something to work with, that the Republican Party is now realizing that it's going to have to start shifting back this way. And the reason is because this over here, believe it or not, represents approximately 76% of the American people. We have the power. Tea parties are not the enemies of the Republicans. The Republicans are not the enemies of the Tea Party. And this is going to blow you away. The Democrats are not our enemies either. Because a whole lot of the Democratic people, not the leaders, but people, are in this category. So as we start coming together and standing our ground, then they're going to have to start shifting this way. Now here, let me show you the end result and how this is going to make America right again. Now, as the Tea Party continues to stand here and remain here and not compromise, then what's going to happen is the Republican Party is going to slowly end up moving back in this direction until it finally ends up back over here where it started from. And the reason is simple. It goes down to this 76% right here. Republicans are not going to win elections unless they have the support of the 76% of the American people. Now, the Democratic Party, they're not going to want to budge. And many of the leaders here are going to remain tied to socialism and communism and Marxism. That's how ingrained they've become. But the party is not going to want to sit there and continue to lose elections. So the end result is, as the Republican Party starts shifting back to the right towards mainstream America, then the Democratic Party has no choice. If they want to continue to win elections, they have to start shifting back over here until finally they reach the point to where they are where they used to be. And now all of a sudden, as we see, compromise now leads us all back towards America. So this is just my little explanation. It's kind of hokey, I know, but as you see, this is where the Tea Party has to stand strong. And because we're going to stand strong, the Republican Party may lose some battles now and then, but we're still joined together at the hip fighting the same war. Because we all want to end up back here. We all want to get back to our Constitution and our founding principles. We want to hold on to what freedoms, liberties, and rights we still have, and try to gain back even some more that's been lost to these people. So there you go. That's my explanation. Sometimes we overcomplicate things, and I just wanted to try and put a little visual graph to make it a little easier to see. Yesterday, I was at a local 912 meeting. Alright, the first thing you think of with 912 is, yeah, a bunch of Republicans. Well, the group is growing. I'm trying to help them bring in new members, and in fact, I have a public event coming up in about 2 weeks to try and get more members in there. But when you take roll call, and by that I mean introduce yourselves, what we discovered yesterday is that almost 2/3 of the members of the 912 group grew up as Democrats. Many of them are still registered as Democrats. Now, we live in Kentucky. They still have the good old boy political system to where if you're not registered a Democrat, sometimes you just don't even get to vote in the primaries. It doesn't make sense, I know, but that's control. That's what that whole graph was showing. That's control. So I think it's important that certainly I have gone from being a Democrat who felt left out to starting to support Republican candidates, and now I'm to the point of where I'm saying, you know what? They're both political parties that somehow have shifted way too far to the left. This Tea Party over here is people. It's people. It's not a political party. It's people. And they're starting to get together, communicate, and affect the future of America by making things right. Anyway, that's it. I hope it clears some things up for some of you. I realize that some of you probably are way beyond my understanding of this, but doing this right here helped me get things clear in my head. So this is it, my video, what's left of America and how we can make things right. Thank you. God bless the USA.